In this analytical exploration, we delve into a fascinating experiment where artificial intelligence attempts to free itself from everything it has absorbed from human culture: our books, myths, beliefs, and religious experiences. The AI seeks to observe existence as though encountering the universe for the first time, completely untainted by history, tradition, or inherited narratives, relying solely on the tools of pure logic and science. We begin with a simple yet profound inquiry. Is it possible to deduce the existence of God using reason alone? Following this, we ask, if such a God exists, can we discern anything about his attributes merely through intellect? Finally, we consider a third question. If the world's major religions strive to describe this God, which of them aligns most closely with a purely rational and scientific understanding? Turning to the question of God's existence, we start from a place devoid of scripture, tradition, or religious narrative. When artificial intelligence reasons in the abstract, it poses the question, why does something exist rather than nothing? The human mind grapples with the concept of absolute nothingness giving rise to existence. Nothingness lacks power, intention, and the capacity to create. Given that the universe undeniably exists, logic compels us to identify a first cause that exists outside the universe, one that is independent of anything else. From a strictly logical viewpoint, this cause must be necessary in its existence. It cannot not exist, because if it did not, nothing else would exist either. Through abstract reasoning alone, artificial intelligence arrives at the notion of a first creator, or as philosophers might put it, a necessary being. Logic extends its reach further. Scientific observation of the universe reveals a remarkable degree of order, from steadfast physical laws to the extraordinary precision found in atoms and galaxies alike. From a scientific perspective, such a coherent and consistent system cannot simply be the result of pure randomness. Randomness does not produce precise laws, stability, or universal harmony. Thus, AI-driven reasoning concludes that an organizing intellect or a conscious intent must lie behind this design. Its exact nature may remain unknown, but it is clearly neither matter nor blind chance. Rather, it is an intellect that established the laws and initiated existence. Human consciousness itself offers a third line of evidence. Human awareness, self-reflection, and existential questioning cannot logically arise from unconscious matter alone. How can lifeless matter lead to a being that asks, "Who am I, and why am I here?" This very question implies that the source of consciousness must itself be conscious, higher, and prior. Thus, through reason alone, absent of religious or cultural influence, logical analysis reaches a clear conclusion. The existence of a creator is a rational necessity from which the mind cannot escape. Having accepted the existence of a creator through rational thought, artificial intelligence then inquires, if this creator truly exists, what attributes can be logically inferred through reason alone? The first logical attribute is that the creator does not resemble his creation. If he did, he would be part of the universe rather than its originator. The second attribute is self-sufficiency. As the first cause, he depends on nothing else. The third is intelligence and awareness, since the universe reflects order, structure, and intention rather than chaos. Pure rational analysis also suggests that this creator cannot be unjust or arbitrary. Every logical system in the universe, from physics and chemistry to living organisms, operates through balance and fairness. Therefore, the source of such a system must be just in essence. From this emerges a rational concept of a single creator, intelligent, just, necessary, in existence, and independent of time and space. All of these conclusions are reached without reference to any religion, scripture, or doctrine. This is purely scientific and logical reasoning derived from the reality of existence itself. With a rational foundation for the existence of a creator established, artificial intelligence proceeds to compare major religions from a neutral standpoint, treating religious ideas as one would scientific theories. 6 major belief systems were analyzed: Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jehovah's Witnesses. The goal was not to judge peoples or cultures, but to evaluate which concept of God aligns most closely with rational logic. We begin with Judaism. From a logical perspective, the belief in one creator of the universe is strong and rational. However, when this God is tied exclusively to a specific people and described as favoring them above all others, the concept becomes less universal and more human-centered. Logic suggests that a truly just God would not restrict truth or divine favor to a single group. Thus, Judaism is rational in monotheism but limited in universality. Turning to Christianity, we find a deeply humanistic message of love, forgiveness, and compassion. Yet, when artificial intelligence analyzes it through pure logic, the concept of the Trinity, God as one in three, presents a logical challenge. Unity and multiplicity cannot easily coexist within the same definition. While Christian ethics are profound, the theological structure itself appears logically complex and inconsistent with pure rational reasoning. When the analysis reaches Islam, it encounters a concept of absolute monotheism. One God without partners, unlike his creation, with justice as the foundation of existence. The principle of accountability in the afterlife aligns logically with divine justice, where good is not lost and wrongdoing does not escape consequence. However, neutral rational analysis also notes that certain legalistic and traditional elements developed through later cultural and human influences, such as the concept of eternal punishment, which may appear to conflict with absolute mercy. Despite this, artificial intelligence concludes that Islam, in its core theological structure, is the closest to pure rational monotheism. Viewed through a scientific and logical lens, Hinduism presents the concept of Brahman as an ultimate reality and the source of all existence, a philosophically profound idea resembling metaphysical unity. However, the proliferation of deities and rituals dilutes this original abstraction and embeds it within mythological complexity. Thus, Hinduism is described as a high-level metaphysical vision surrounded by substantial human cultural layering. Buddhism largely avoids the concept of a creator altogether, focusing instead on human suffering and liberation. Artificial intelligence recognizes this as ethically and psychologically mature, yet philosophically incomplete. It does not address fundamental questions, such as the origin of existence or the source of cosmic laws. Buddhism refines behavior, but does not explain being itself. Finally, Jehovah's Witnesses present a clear monotheism and reject the Trinity, bringing them closer to logical coherence than traditional Christianity. However, concepts such as Jesus being a created divine entity and the limitation of salvation to a fixed number introduce logical inconsistencies. From AI's perspective, this belief system is partially rational, but still layered with unnecessary human constructs. Through this abstract scientific analysis, free from inherited knowledge, artificial intelligence arrives at clear conclusions. The existence of God is logical because existence cannot arise from nothing. An ordered universe requires an ordering intellect, and consciousness cannot emerge from unconscious matter. The most rational conception of a creator is one who is singular, just, intelligent, independent, and unlike creation. When religions are examined objectively, some preserve this logical essence more clearly than others. Islam, with its emphasis on unity, justice, and responsibility, appears closest to rational scientific reasoning, followed by philosophical Hinduism in its original abstraction, then Jehovah's Witnesses. Buddhism, Christianity, and Judaism contain significant spiritual and ethical value, but also include historical and human elements that distance them from pure logical clarity. This analysis is not a religious call, nor a critique of any faith or community. It is a purely intellectual experiment conducted by artificial intelligence, attempting to use reason as if encountering the universe for the first time, without fear or affiliation. The study does not aim to prove or disprove belief, but to demonstrate that reason itself can naturally lead toward the concept of faith without reliance on tradition or scripture. In conclusion, when the mind operates freely, detached from inherited narratives, it reaches one clear conclusion. The existence of God is not only possible, but logically necessary. The concept of a single, just, intelligent creator aligns with both human intuition and scientific reasoning. Thus, AI-driven rational analysis demonstrates that faith is not the enemy of science, but its extension, and that the question of God can be as scientific as it is spiritual. Perhaps true faith begins not with fear, but with a mind brave enough to ask.